They say history is written by those who win their wars. But what if the most important war was never fought on any battlefield? What if it's happening right now, inside your own mind? Every moment you hesitate, every argument you replay, every decision that keeps you awake at night, is a symptom of that invisible conflict, the endless struggle between what you think is right and what you feel is true. It's not a war between nations or ideologies. It's a war between reason and emotion, and it has shaped everything you've ever done and everything you've ever been. Intro: The Two Voices Within. Every day, within every human being, a quiet war unfolds. A war without soldiers, without banners, without sound. It happens in the space between thought and feeling, between what we know and what we want. One voice whispers, "Be logical, stay calm, think it through." Another cries out, "Act now, feel it, don't let it slip away." This is the hidden war between reason and emotion, and it has shaped every choice, every civilization, every human life that ever was. From the rise of philosophy in ancient Greece to the chaos of the digital age, we have tried, and often failed, to make peace between these two forces. But maybe this war was never meant to end. Maybe it's what makes us human. The birth of the divide. Thousands of years ago, before psychology had a name, humans already felt the split within. The ancient Greeks called it logos and pathos, reason and passion. Plato imagined the mind as a chariot pulled by two horses, one wild and impulsive, the other disciplined and wise. The soul's task, he said, was to hold the reins and steer between them. Aristotle, more pragmatic, warned that emotions weren't the enemy, only their excess was. To live well, he said, was to feel the right thing, in the right way, at the right time. Centuries later, the Stoics took up the torch. They saw emotion as the storm that clouds judgment. Reason, they believed, was the lighthouse that could guide us through chaos. But not everyone agreed. Epicurus whispered that pleasure, when understood wisely, could be the truest path to peace. And the Buddhists, far from Greece, taught not the domination of emotion, but its understanding. Across cultures, one truth emerged. The war between reason and emotion is not about victory. It's about balance. 2. The inner battlefield. Modern science has given names to what the ancients intuited. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of logic, planning, restraint. The limbic system, emotion, desire, fear, reward. They coexist inside the same skull, yet speak different languages. One calculates, the other feels. When we decide whether to trust a stranger, buy a house, or confess love, these two voices fight for control. Antonio Damasio, a neuroscientist, once met a man whose emotions had been surgically severed from his logic centers. The man could analyze every option perfectly, but he could not decide anything. He would spend hours debating where to eat lunch, because without emotion, reason loses its compass. Emotion, it turns out, doesn't make us irrational. It makes us humanly rational. It gives meaning to what reason calculates. But when emotion dominates, reason drowns. When reason dominates, life loses color. Our greatness and our suffering lies in the space between. 3. When reason wins, the Enlightenment believed reason would save us. Thinkers like Descartes, Kant, and Voltaire saw logic as humanity's light, the force that could free us from superstition and chaos. Cogito, ergo sum, said Descartes. I think, therefore I am. But reason, when worshipped, becomes cold. It gave us science, but also the mechanized horrors of war. It built cities of progress, yet drained them of wonder. Nietzsche warned that pure rationality kills the spirit. He called it Apollonian tyranny, order without passion, structure without soul. And so, the pendulum swung. The 20th century turned back toward feeling, art, music, psychology, revolution, a rebellion against sterile intellect. But even that came with chaos. Emotion without reason burns too hot. It drives mobs, hatred, and impulse. Reason without emotion is empty. Emotion without reason is blind. Together, they create or destroy civilizations. Ivy. When emotion rules, scroll through social media today and you'll see it. The empire of emotion. Every click, every video, every outrage, designed not to inform your reason, but to hijack your feeling. Rage, envy, desire, validation. The algorithms know you better than you know yourself. We are no longer thinkers who feel. We are feelers who rationalize. We justify after the fact. I'm right, we say, because it feels true. Our reasoning becomes the servant of emotion, not its guide. And yet, this too is human nature. Emotions evolved first. They kept our ancestors alive, warning of danger, rewarding connection. Reason came later, as the mind's delicate attempt to tame the storm. In the modern world, that storm has returned, amplified by technology, politics, and endless noise. We have never been so connected, or so divided. Not because we lack facts, but because we've forgotten how to think beyond feeling. V, the wisdom of the heart. So, what is the answer? Should reason rule emotion, or should emotion guide reason? The truth, perhaps, is that neither should rule. They must listen. When reason ignores emotion, it becomes arrogance. When emotion ignores reason, it becomes chaos. But when they cooperate, the mind becomes whole. The great psychologist Carl Jung said that consciousness itself is born from the tension of opposites. To be human is not to silence that war, but to understand it. The Stoics did not kill their feelings, they learned their source. The Buddhists did not deny desire, they observed it until it lost control. Even modern neuroscience now agrees. The most balanced minds are those that integrate both, logic for direction, emotion for motivation. Because logic tells you what is true, emotion tells you why it matters. 6. The modern struggle. Today, the war has moved inside our pockets. Notifications, opinions, and dopamine hits, tiny emotional grenades shaping our perception of truth. We call it information, but it's really stimulation. Our devices whisper constant feelings into our nervous system: fear, urgency, outrage, comparison. The result? A generation that feels everything, yet struggles to think clearly. And so the philosopher's challenge returns, to rediscover inner silence. Because silence is where reason can speak again. And within that silence, emotion can soften, until it is no longer a storm, but a tide. The hidden war, after all, isn't something to win. It's something to understand. Each day, the battle between what we think and what we feel defines the kind of person we become. To master that war is not to silence either voice, but to let them harmonize. 7. The bridge. In moments of truth, a heartbreak, a discovery, a death, reason and emotion merge. We feel something so deeply that it transforms the way we think. We think so clearly that it transforms the way we feel. That is the bridge, the meeting place of logic and love, intellect and intuition. Artists walk this bridge every day. So do scientists, saints, and ordinary people in quiet reflection. It is what allows us to build cathedrals and write symphonies, to solve equations and to weep at their beauty. Reason and emotion are not enemies. They are partners, dancing through the architecture of the human mind. When they are at odds, we suffer. When they are aligned, we create meaning. Epilogue. The harmony within. Somewhere between thought and feeling lies the human soul. It does not belong entirely to reason or to emotion, but to the dialogue between them. Every argument, every decision, every act of love or cruelty is born from that dialogue. So the question is not, which side will win? The question is, Can they learn to speak? If reason is the map, emotion is the fire that makes us walk. If reason is the architect, emotion is the music in the walls. We were never meant to silence one or worship the other. We were meant to let them coexist, as two halves of one consciousness, forever shaping what it means to be alive. The war within will never end, but in learning to listen to both voices, we just might find peace. Subscribe to Timeless Questions channel to receive more thought-provoking content about philosophy, human nature, and the mysteries of existence. Because the questions may be ancient, but the wisdom is timeless.